So a long time ago, one of the biggest investments that the Rothschilds ever made was into their own company called the Rothschild Foundation. And they started to take over basically eight categories, which was banking and finance, infrastructure development, so your railroads and your industry, philanthropy and social welfare, medical science and health, education, arts and culture, wine and agriculture, environmental sustainability. So who do you think started to write the curriculum and started to write what we learned? Who do you think was on the boards of these schools and all these things? And who wrote the books that we're learning from in school? And there's a quote from John D. Rockefeller that says, we don't want a world of creative thinkers, we want a world of workers, right? Factory workers. That's why school was created. So another thing that we can get into is the medical part of it, right? So our pharmaceutical companies right now are ruining people's lives and families' lives, right, by making them addicted to things. And the pharmaceutical companies make trillions, okay? I'm pretty sure it's more than trillions. They just make so much money off of us, and the problem is that they want to keep you sick, that they teach you nothing on how to heal the body naturally. And back in the day, you had holistic teachers and hospitals and doctors and nurses that very much used the natural way, and you know, there's names for it, but I forget it. But what they did was in 1901 or 1902, one of those, they hired a guy named Abraham Flexner. And he basically wrote the new report, the medical report, which was called the Flexner Report. And all of the nurses, hospitals had to start using this medical report to basically stay open. And this is how you graduated, was by learning what was on the Flexner Report and all these different things. And so they started to basically push propaganda out, and this is when you had witches that were using herbs and all these things that were looked at as witches and looked at as negative. And they started to burn down hospitals that were practicing natural medicine and those types of things. And so just those two things alone, we can see how these people have been controlling everything for a very long time, okay? So they control our banking and the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not owned by the government. We all probably know that by now. It is very much privately owned, and they were even borrowing money from huge drug lords and this kind of stuff, and invested in that kind of stuff. But during this time, and this is where history can get misconstrued, and we don't know anything that we've ever been told. And I constantly say that, and it's hard to believe, and it's hard to think that maybe we've been lied to about everything. And it's, you know, it's just, right, like I said, I've been there. But it is true that almost every single thing that you can think of is not the way that it happened. It is not the truth. And when you get into this